Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and today I am very happy and quite excited because in my hot, sweaty little mitts I have got three things. I've got a V5 and I've got number plates, which means I can finally take this car out for a drive after about 4.5 months of owning the thing. If you have been following the story, I bought this car back in September. That was in Ohio via eBay. I've been hunting around for Crown Vic for a really long time and had not had a lot of luck finding anything that was within my budget. It was still a good car that was under 400,000 miles and not rusty. This one looked really good. It's older than I wanted, but low mileage, 80,000 miles on the clock, and it's a detective spec genuine P71, which is everything I wanted. So I made a not insulting but slightly lower offer than the guy was asking on eBay with 15 minutes left before the auction ran, because that's when I found it at breakfast time on a Sunday morning over here. He said yes within seconds. I'd bought a car 3,500–4,000 miles away, which is easily done. Anyone could do it. So then I engaged the services of Golden Chariots, who are a fantastic car moving business. They are in purely the business of moving cars to and from America. They made everything so easy, and it arrived in Southampton docks in December. They could have done it a lot quicker if it wasn't for the global shipping crisis, which meant that within a day or two of me paying the money, it was in New York Harbour. They organised all of that. Unfortunately, there were no ships available, so it sat there until December, and then it spent a week or two on the Atlantic, crossing over slowly, and finally it arrived in Southampton, which was Christmas very much come early for me. And then I made the interesting discovery that they're very hard to tow, these things, in the UK because they're so big. You can legally drive one of these cars home from the dock if you've imported a car. You can insure it on the VIN number to be driven to an MOT, which is what I ultimately did when I had it back home. However, I would not recommend doing that if you don't know how well the car drives. If you've not seen a video of it driving, you've not had an assurance from the owner, previous owner, that it drives well, it could be risky, it could go wrong. Now, as it turned out, I did have a binding brake caliper, which has come back again. So I'm glad I didn't in the end, but I had to go and find someone with a big enough trailer and a heavy enough towing capacity. So got hold of Archer Automotive, who dragged the thing back for me, and that was an exciting day, best day at work ever. And yeah, got it home, sorted out the lights, the indicators, the fog lights, got it through the MOT, and then sent off the V55, which is a long, confusing form because it covers every possible combination and variation of car, whether it's a car, truck, new, old, it's all on there, which means you've got to make sure you tick the right boxes for your vehicle. Did all of that. I could have had it done about a week quicker than I did. It took about 4 weeks in total, which is actually not too bad. I could have had it done in 3 weeks, but I made the mistake of trying to register it with a 02 number plate rather than the 51 number plate, because this is a 2002 model year car. It was registered in Ohio in late 2002, so the DVLA, sometimes it seems they will occasionally go by registration date, but more often than not they will go by build date, which was December 2001. So they issued me with a 51 plate number plate, which is what I've now got. It means I've now got to try and sell my 02 number plate because that's no good to me. So now, finally, I can attach these number plates, I can go for a drive, I can take this thing out on the road legally and have some fun in my Crown Victoria. Yay, go donuts! The question now is, do I try and screw these on with the original screws, although it's a bit tight to the G and the 1 if I do that, or do I go with the sticky tabs? The thing is, it's easier to sticky tab it onto the front plate to this holder than it is on the back, so I might go with the sticky sticks on the front and the screws, drill holes on the back. You'd think this would be easy. Tiny Spyderco bug proving itself useful once again. Should definitely get sponsored by Spyderco, I think. Spyderco, are you watching? Oh, that's satisfying. Okay, this does have little tags at the bottom to slot into, because on American cars you change your plates every year, I believe. There we go, slide that in, glue it on. Let's hope that doesn't fall out. Oh, number plate at last. Amazing. This is not great. The sticky pads do not want to stick to the surface one little bit, so I think I might be drilling some holes in this. That's not good. They are quite big holes, they're not exactly discreet like the UK ones are. So, and it's still got the blue plastic on it. I didn't want to drill a hole on this, but I can't really see a way around it. I've used this as a template. Okay, I have bolted this on, but there is madness in my method because I am actually thinking about getting a backup camera for this car, because it's a really long way to the back of this car from the driver's seat, and UK roads are quite small and tight. So that would involve putting a camera up in there, in that area just there. So I'm kind of getting ready for the next project along the way. Now this is one part of the car I am sadly going to have to get very, very familiar with. I have to admit, yesterday evening when I got the plates and the V5 all together, it was dark by the time that was all done, so didn't film it, but I did just kind of quickly slap the plates on temporarily and take it for a quick drive around the block. Took the family out because it was very exciting. And yeah, that's when I discovered that the front brake caliper was binding again, and the fuel gauge went from about a quarter to you need more petrol right now, orange light warning thing, in a matter of only a couple of miles. So here's a moment of quick tinkering before we go out and take this thing for an actual drive. Now last time I did this, I just gave it a massively quick free off just so I can get it back to the MOT station. Didn't actually look at the problem and it seemed to have cured itself, so I kind of ignored it. This time I'm not going for the full strip down because I haven't got the full range of parts. I need to do a full strip down and rebuild because I'll be probably in a worse position, but I can do something of a cleanup. What's strange is when it's just loose like this, it seems to move really freely. It's only when you go and put it in the car itself, you seem to have a problem. Okay, so they seem to be moving in and out fairly smoothly now. I've given a good cleaning up to the edge of the caliper that I can see. These slide pins are kind of fixed in by the rubber bushes, so I can't take them out, but they move smooth as well. You can see the difference between, I forget which car this came out of, but this is one of my regular cars, and this is the size of the brake disc, sorry, pad on that, and that is the side of the brake pad on the Crown Vic. It's insanely different. A few bits, because I didn't have it jacked up in every corner, so I'm going to quickly nip back underneath my gloves, my mask and my everything else on, and give this a quick going over a few spots which missed the treatment of the undersealing rust proofer, which I will say a few people said, oh, you just put in basic underseal on. No, it's underbody seal with added rust proofing wax oil, so it is a rust proofing and sealing stuff that I'm putting on here. And yeah, so where on the MOT, the guy said it's got visible corrosion. It's basically surface rust on a big chunk of metal, so chucking a bit more black gooey stuff on there, so it'll be better. There we go, much smarter, blacker, more rust proof. I missed a bit there. Yeah, keep going back. Every time I look, I find a spot I might have missed. Doing it on the jack is always a bit hard. So yeah, it's now super duper in this corner, but I'll keep on going around this car. Every time I do another job, I'll top up and maybe take it to somewhere to be cavity waxed at some point in the future. Now there was one other thing. During the previous video when I was doing the shock absorbers and the drop links on this car, a few people saw in this area here around this shock tower, they saw a dark shadow which they thought was a hole through this metal. I mean, if it was a hole through this metal, I would have serious problems because this is battleship spec steel down here. But it is a deep shadow just here because there's a plate just there where the bits come together and they weld on top of the cross member, so it looks like a shadow which could look like a hole. I've sprayed this all heavily with VHT rust killing stuff, which is really handy, and I'm going to put a bit of black chassis black on this in a minute as well, so that will now no longer give anyone cause for concern, least of all me. I actually had to go out when I saw those comments about 11 o'clock at night, come out here with a torch and double check there wasn't a hole, because you really put the heebie-jeebies at me with that. Love how easy this thing starts up. I've given the brakes a few pumps off camera and run up and down the drive a couple of times just to get things moving. Let's go and get some petrol first of all, because obviously we haven't got much in this car now. So I live in the countryside, which means that when I leave the house, I go down country lanes for quite a few miles as it goes. And yeah, this is not the most ideal car for a country lane because it's quite big and quite wide. I'm on the wrong side of it. It is something you acclimatise to relatively rapidly, but the first drive in a while does take you a few moments to get used to it. The ride on this car is just so nice. It just glides around the place. It's gorgeous. This is what Mrs. Furious actually commented on last night when she got in the car. It's first of all how smooth the engine sounds, and secondly how nicely it rides. And it is an absolute glide fest. The thing that Furious Jr. said was, wow, these seats are so cold in the back, it's like being in a prison car, which it technically kind of is. I really picked the wrong week going by a 4.6 litre V8 American car. Right, that's £33 for 20 litres of of V-power, but I know this car doesn't need V-power because, well, they're designed to run on far worse petrol in the States, but it's been sat for so long, it's nice to give it a proper run through. Let's go. Yep, it's got a lot of pickup. I'm going to enjoy this car and go bankrupt on petrol. Right, next stop. The first thing I saw when I saw this car in the flesh was that it had a couple of rust bubbles on the front wings, which I wanted to take care of as soon as possible. So I'm going to call into a body shop down here, this same place that painted the front of the Mini when I had that bonnet replaced a couple of years ago now. They are a really good body shop. I know an amazing one, Classic Car Restorations down in Herne Bay, who did the Minder Capri, but the distance is just a bit of a limitation, whereas this guy, well, this company is not too far away and they do really good work. I did check the brakes when I got to the petrol station and the wheel did still feel cool, so I'm hoping, well, I don't think it will be a permanent fix. I'm still anticipating changing that brake caliper before too very long, but maybe if it gives me a few weeks at least, a bit of grace period, that'd be nice. I've costed them up at Rock Auto in America, so I seem to get all the stuff for this car. They're between 35 and 45 depending which one you go for, which is pretty cheap, but then you add the postage and the duty and stuff, it works out about £80 for the caliper, which is not the end of the world, not the biggest job in the world either, but it's £80 I would rather not spend. Oh, this is so light on its wheels considering how big it is. The steering is, it's amazing, it's so assisted. Now you get to junctions and things in this car and you kind of forget how much of it there is in front of you, because you can see kind of the end of the bonnet, which is a really long way away, but then you've got like about another 20 centimetres of bumper in front of that as well, so you've got to be really quite cautious about not driving either through things or putting yourself right across the line at a junction. That's radio I've got a solution for, because it does do that thing which I'm told by people in the comments, notably serving officers or officers in America who drove these cars, that the volume control not working is a really, really common thing on these. So we have a solution to that, which will be coming up in an upcoming video. AYLESFORD Body Repair Centre. Let's see if I can do me a decent quote. Well, the fella I needed to talk to had gone out for a couple of hours, so I've missed him, unfortunately. So I have to come back in a few days' time and get a quote. Because although the car looks pretty decent, and it's all been ceramic coated, which is probably a mistake to do before you get bodywork done. Yeah, where it's had both wings replaced over in America, the finish isn't quite as good as I would like it to be. And yeah, it's got that rust bubble coming through on the driver's side, I think it is. Yeah, that one. So yeah, and also there's a little blister on the rear arch I want taken care of. Just get everything done, get it looking good to start with. I don't want to wipe out a TVR, that'd be a bad thing to do. It does suddenly feel very big every now and then. There's a Ford KA just come up behind me, an original one. And yeah, the size differential is quite staggering. I've been out and found an old warehouse I quite like for taking photos, which wasn't too busy today, so I managed to get a couple of pictures off before lorries needed to come and unload stuff, but I'll come back at the weekend, do a bunch more photos then. It's so good to get some other images of this car, make it look as cool as possible, because it is very, very cool. I'm now going to be sat in traffic for quite a long time because I misjudged this, and it's 12:14, lunch rush, everyone's going to Sainsbury's or leaving the factories and warehouses behind me, so I'm going to be sitting in traffic for 20 minutes. Good times! It's to put my little policewoman on some blue tack or something so she doesn't slide around the dashboard too much. I have been told various comments and messages I've had about from this car from Crown Victoria fans around the world and from people working in police departments and motor departments looking after them all across America, that in areas like Beechwood, Ohio, where this was stationed, in the winter months when everything is very heavily salted, when these come back from a shift, they go through a complete sort of 360-degree car wash which sprays and washes the underside of it, which does explain why it's in such good condition. It's interesting driving this car. a lot of the time it's just a big old saloon car that's actually surprisingly quiet, so a lot of the people don't even notice it drive past. It's completely incognito. Maybe it is street appearance with those shiny hubcaps. No one knows it's a police car, but every now and then you get someone who either hears the sound of it, recognises the shape of it, and they do like a double take on the pavement as you drive past, which is quite fun really. Wow, a Renault 5 GT Turbo. That is so cool. I wonder if he'll notice what's behind him. Man, that is such a cool car. I'm very much in awe and envy of your beautiful little hot hatch. Mr. GT5 owner, if you're watching this, then please do get in touch, bodyintheboot@gmail.com, because I would love to do a review of that car. It looks lovely. I didn't bring my sunglasses, it's nice out. I need to get some mirrored sunglasses to go with this car, really. If you're going to have a silly American police car in a tiny country like this, you need to live up to every stereotype and expectation there is going. So yeah, mirrored sunglasses, donuts on the dashboard, plenty of Twinkies in the glove box, lots of coffee. I do the coffee anyway, so that's fine. Right, I'm going to head down to my favourite car review filming road because it's all twisty and turny. It looks a bit like the old Myra circuit. Ah, Lego lady's fallen down. We are in hot pursuit. Oh, this is so good. This is a definite motorway bruiser. 50 miles an hour and steady and quiet. I'm hoping it's not using much petrol. Let's just keep hoping that for the time being. I think adding the new shock absorbers at the front has certainly tightened things up a bit. I only drove it like about 2 miles when it was on the old shocks. But yeah, it does feel a little less wallowy than it did before, which is definitely a good thing. Wow, okay, it does wallow quite a lot. Okay, fine. That's a bit of wallowing. I'm not actually sure how old these Goodyear RSA tyres are on this thing. I don't know if they need to be replaced just down to age. I need to go and check the records. They're not that old because they were getting through them fairly rapidly, but in the last 5 years or so, this was like a loan car for the motor pool, so it wasn't doing big miles. Although someone did manage to crash it twice in the last 2 years. So I can quickly pull in and check the brake caliper is still as cool as it should be. Well, all still feels as it should, which is a good thing. And the car is currently a heady mix of old brake dust smell from yesterday when it got red hot and wax oil, which is not the best mix, but also got some air fresheners going on as well, so it is an interesting combination. Gosh, objects in that mirror do appear closer than they are. You look over the shoulder, it's miles away. It's got a lot of pickup. It's got a cup motor of 440 cubic inches, cup tires, cup shocks, cup suspension. It's a model built before catalytic converter, so it'll run good on regular gas. Is it the new Furious Mobile or what? Fix the radio. Well, it's weird when it goes into overdrive. I thought the thing was stalling or losing power. It just suddenly dropped the revs completely. That's weird. I've not hit overdrive on this car yet. So that was quite strange. Okay, this journey has been vaguely pointless. I've bought petrol, which I wouldn't have needed if I hadn't taken it out for a drive. I've been to a body shop, which I couldn't get a quote from because the guy who does the quotes wasn't in, and I have forgotten to go and buy the black RTV, which is the actual purpose of going out today. Once I've got the excitement of many rapid getaways and donuts and wheel spins and things out the way, I'm going to have to drive this sort of sensibly and normally for a week or two and work out what kind of economy I'm getting in it. Talking or looking at comments and things on the Facebook groups, I reckon the MPG is somewhere between 20 to 30, so 25, 30 seems kind of average if you're not hooning about like an idiot all the time, which we can live with if it's not an everyday car. Potentially bad news. Having pulled over here and parked with the wheel pointing out, I can smell brakes again quite strongly, which means I'm going to have to cut short my adventure drive, because that is binding up again. I don't want to ruin the brakes. Still feels brisk at the moment, but I don't want to risk doing damage to the car by driving it around with a binding on brake. That would be bad on my first day out. I guess I'll better go and order up that replacement caliper from Rock Auto. Bank account gets emptied again by a car, who knew? One thing I didn't mention is that I've actually got the folder of all the car's documents here with me as well. I don't normally bother carrying car documents around, but looking on the DVLA website, it's showing as no status, I think it said, or something like that, online. So if the police check on it, it might not show up as being MOT'd, which would be a bad thing, because it is. So I've got the MOT, I've got the insurance, the V5, all the other bits and bobs, to prove it is a legal, real car after all. So I was going to go up and down this road a few times and get loads of GoPro footage, because it's a really cool couple of corners just there. However, I'm not going to. I'm going to go straight back home, which is a bit of a shame, because that's a lovely bit of driving road. Right, I'm going to call it an... is that pulling? Yeah, that's pulling to the left because it's not braking on the right already. Or it's already braking on the right. That's, I think, the way it works in that situation. So yes, thank you for watching. I'm very, very, very happy and excited to have this car on the road finally. I'm disappointed that I now need to go and buy a brake caliper, but that's, you know, old cars for you. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please, as always, hit like and subscribe, and join me again next time when I guess I'll be adding a brake caliper to this car. Oh well.